Welcome back to another video on this channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this gorgeous springtime design. Super easy, hope you enjoy. I'm going to begin this design with Kiara Sky's Chatterbox. I'm applying this color pretty randomly around the nail. I'm paying special attention to the cuticle so that it doesn't look super sloppy, but I'm not being super critical on how opaque or evenly the color is being applied, because in all honesty, there's a lot of art elements that's going to go on top, so I just need background color. The more jagged or rough it looks, the better. It gives a more organic look to the design. I guess you can call it kind of like a stone nail if you want. It's not, I didn't create it with that intention, but it is kind of what it resembles. So the more jagged and rugged it looks, the better. I'm going to do the same thing to the second nail. I'm going to apply the color in different places, making sure it looks nice and sloppy. Once I'm satisfied with how it looks, I'm going to pop that in the lamp for a full cure. So as those nails are curing, I'm going to start assembling my glitters. This is Iridescent Coral by Recollections. Gorgeous translucent and iridescent glitter, and also very inexpensive. I got it at Michael's, just saying, go check Recollections out. Young Nails Mandarin, I actually didn't use it. I brought it out because I thought it might look good in the design, and it probably would have, but I ended up not using them, so it's just there in the lineup. Then this is Recollections Heart Glitters. The color is actually blush, but these glitters, when you're going to use them, make sure to rub them in between your fingers to separate them. I guess when the machine is cutting them, they kind of press the glitters together. So you want to separate them so that you don't add any additional bulk to the nail. Since we are going to be encapsulating them, we want to keep this design as thin as possible, or else we're going to have a thick mama, and we don't want thick mamas on our fingers. And then this is Recollections Copper Flakes. Again, very inexpensive. I got it at Michael's and it works great, especially for this design. This is Young Nails Moody. This is a very similar to the Recollections Hearts. They're really big circles, but they're iridescent and they give off a lot of different tones, so they're very cool to use. Just like the hearts, rub them in your fingers to separate them, because the same thing that happens with those hearts happens with that glitter. And then this is Starsand by Young Nails. I love this glitter because it gives off so many different iridescent colors. To adhere those glitters to the nail, I'm going to be using Young Nails MANIQ Soft Gel. MANIQ Soft Gel is their thinnest gel, so it's ideal for this type of design. Since we're going to be encapsulating the design, we want it to be as thin as possible. Although this is a soft gel, it is not going to compromise the structure or the integrity of the nail, because we're using very thin amounts, and it'll be fine. I've done it 1,000 times. It's fine. Once I've applied that very thin, I'm going to give that a flash cure. I'm using this little mini lamp just because it's faster than taking the hands off of the stand and putting it in the lamp. So I'm only giving it a quick flash cure to set that in place. Using a fluffy brush, I'm going to take that Starsand and I'm going to begin applying that straight into that inhibition layer that MANIQ left behind. And I'm applying that both in the clear places as well as over Chatterbox. I started to get really anal there, and I didn't want so much glitter on that Chatterbox, but then I said, forget it. Like, this is supposed to be a very organic look anyway, so wherever it lands, leave it there. I'm gonna do the same thing to that second nail. Just apply it wherever it lands, leave it. Before I dip into my next color, I'm gonna wipe off my brush, and I'm gonna take Iridescent Coral by Recollections, and I'm gonna apply that over the places where I applied the Starsands. That's going to allow for that iridescent coral to stick to those little in-between places, and it's going to give a very dimensional, deep look to the nail, which is going to look amazing. The next step is completely optional. Once I've applied all of my glitters the way that I like them, I like to stick the nail in the lamp for another cure. In my opinion, it kind of secures the glitters on the inhibition layer. Does it actually work? I don't know, but like I said, it's optional. If you want to do it, do it. If not, then don't. I'm going to go in with that manicure, and I'm going to apply a thin layer over the top of both of those nails. I'm going to emphasize again, a thin layer. This is key to a design like this. Thin layers. Thin layers. And then I'm going to take our orange wood stick without curing that. This is raw gel on the surface. It has not been cured. I'm going to take an orange wood stick. I'm going to dip that, the very tip, into the gel, and I'm going to start picking up those bigger pieces. So I think I begin with Moody, and then I move on to those heart glitters by Recollections. Just apply them wherever you think it looks good. I'm applying them both on the chatterbox area as well as the area that's completely clear. Wherever I feel like it needs a nice chunk of glitter is where I apply it, but you want to be careful of your application. In the areas where you know that the nail has to be filed thin, you don't want to apply them there. So that includes the cuticle area and some places like on the sidewalls or even the tip of the nail. You want to put the majority of them on the middle or the center of the nail, because that's where the most gel is going to be, the apex area. So just be mindful of that. I literally just plopped the glitter by the I just plopped the glitter by the cuticle area, but you want to be mindful of your placement so that you don't accidentally file into that glitter and make it do a magic trick and disappear. So once you've applied those glitters in the areas where you want them and you feel it's perfect the way that it is, give the nails a full cure to secure everything in place. So this is the part of the video where I'm going to tell you not to be like me, to be better. Let's say that because I created an additional step that really wasn't necessary. So I cured the gel with the Moody and the hearts. I really didn't have to, because the next step is to add another layer of MANIQ and then apply the foil. Just bypass all of that and add the foil when you're adding the Moody and the hearts. Don't be like me, be better, please. Hey, I'm so annoyed with myself, but whatever, let's move on. So I'm gonna be adding on that flake to the wet gel, that wet MANIQ. You know, feel free to change up the look. Like, if you don't want to use copper flakes, you can go ahead and use silver flakes if the person prefers silver flakes, or gold flakes, or even, you know how they have foil in all kinds of different colors too, like they have purples and pinks and greens and whatever. Feel free to use those as well. Keep in mind that art is subjective and you can create whatever the hell you want. If you want to switch out that chatterbox and do black instead of that peachy chatterbox color, go right ahead. If you want to do a rainbow in the background, go ahead. Like, that is one of the things I love most about art. Like, it's you make it the way that you want to make it. So I got this tile at a hardware store, and I like to use it to mix up my gels. So in this case, I'm taking a little bit of Young Nails Mission Control Gel Paint in Fizz, and I'm adding a little bit of Young Nails MANIQ to that because I want it to be more translucent. Gel paints are typically very opaque, but for this design, I'd like a more translucent color. I'm taking my painter's knife and I'm mixing that up. I'm actually gonna scoop it up on the side, and when I do that, I'm checking for the opacity. I'm checking to see if it's translucent or too opaque. In my case, for the design that I'm looking for, this color is a tad bit too opaque, so I'm adding a little bit more of that MANIQ to it to make it a little more transparent. And then I'm gonna pick it up on the painter's knife to check it, and it's to my liking. So if you guessed that the next step to the design is to add another thin layer of MANIQ, then you are a winner of $1 million, because that is the next step. So this is a very dimensional look, and One of the keys to making a dimensional look is the first one is to have a very thin shell of a nail and start your design there. The next key is for you to add multiple layers. So this is one of those layers. I'm adding on that MANIQ and I'm leaving it wet. I'm not curing it. Until that, I'm going to scoop out that translucent white and I'm going to apply it on the nail. You can really apply it wherever you want. In my case, I'm focusing it on the borders or the edges of that chatterbox. I just realized that on that first nail, I pretty much covered all of the translucency. But if I'm being very honest, the nail comes out gorgeous, so I'm not complaining. And then I'm taking a thin liner gel and with Young Nails Mission Control Gel Paint in Fizz in its original form, in its opaque form, taking that liner brush and I'm applying that gel into those white areas and I'm creating very jagged lines, almost like veining in a marble. It's funny because I created this stone-like nail without really intending to, and this is one of the elements that make it look a little more like stone, this and the gold foil, but it's beautiful nonetheless. But anyway, to create those jagged lines or those veining or that veining, I'm applying more and less pressure. So I'm applying more pressure and then I'm lifting up to create less and then more and then less, and I'm wiggling it from left to right. I'm not trying to be very neat. In fact, the sloppier it looks, the better. It's also important to keep in mind that all of these gels are currently wet. Therefore, they're going to start bleeding into each other and creating, it's almost going to create like fuzzy borders to these lines, which is going to look very cool. You can almost see by that milky white, it's already like blends it in nicely. It's not much you have to do to it at this point. At this point, we're just going to cure that and freeze it in its place. So give it a full cure. Wipe off your sides and make sure you don't get no cured gel on the person's hand. In this case, it's a practice hand, but you don't want any gel cured on skin, whether it's silicone or actual skin. This is the design at this point. The last and final step to this is to encapsulate this. I'm using Young Nails Built Pink. You can use any hard gel, any clear hard gel at this point. Young Nails has Built Clear. They also have, what's that gel? FLAKES, which is a very thin viscosity. I'm using Built Pink because the best way to explain it is sometimes gel can cure a little yellow, specifically when you're applying like builder gel over that white. It could turn a little yellow. Built Pink doesn't really do that. So I'm applying a very thin slick layer and then I'm gonna apply a thicker amounts wherever I need them. Because this is a practice hand, I'm not going overly crazy on building an apex or creating the perfect nail. All I'm looking for at this point is to create a smooth nail so that you guys can see the design, but I want to make sure that everything is nice and encapsulated and smooth. I love working with hard gel just because the way it self-levels is amazing. You know, you have so many different viscosities, so you can do so many different things with it. I love how transparent hard gel is. It's very easy to work with. I hate the fact that it's sticky. I really dislike being sticky, and that's really my biggest con when it comes to gel. But I much prefer gel. It's my favorite medium. I've worked with acrylic before. I cannot for the life of me stand the smell. Oh my god. Like, I know that there's like purifiers that you can get, and I might look into it because I have some acrylic that I received when I purchased the Young Nails mystery box for 2021, but I'll see because I've actually played with that set and with the acrylics, and as I was using it, I loved the way that it applied. And then I did an ombre for the first time in acrylic. I've done them in gel, but I did it for the first time in acrylic, and it was just so perfect. But the smell, it stinks. I can't do the smell. It stinks up the whole house. I can't do it. That and the fact that it's you know, when you file into acrylic, it's like filing into a damn rock. Gel, it's like finding butter. It's the softest material ever. I haven't really played with poly gel yet. I want to. I have not yet. I haven't played with zip powder either, but I have played with acrylic and hard gel, and hard gel is my preferred medium. It's also super translucent. Even if I started working with acrylic, I do the shell or the structure of the nail in acrylic, but I'm never going to stop encapsulating in hard gel. I mean, look how transparent that is. Acrylic, you're never gonna get the transparency that you get with gel with acrylic. It is what it is. It's just the type of product it is. So I'm encapsulating this nail. I'm not going into too much detail into how I do it because I'm not. If you guys would like, I can do a video on my method of encapsulating, but I'm not doing one in this video. I'm also not going to show the filing because it's hard to film. But when I do that video on how I encapsulate the nail, I will be glad to show you how I finish file the nail. I just rather do it on a person rather than my practice hand because I'm always afraid to ruin my practice hand since it is made out of silicone and a file can literally rip it to shreds, and we don't want to do that to our expensive red iguana hand. So I will get to it. Mom, I'm sorry I disappointed you. I know you're watching. So to complete the design, I have finished filed those two nails off camera. And then I applied 2 coats of that Chatterbox on that index in that pinky. At this point, I'm actually top coating. I'm using a top coat that I bought on Amazon, and it's actually one of my favorite top coats. Kiara Sky gel polishes. It's hard to find a top coat that isn't going to separate and pull on the surface, but this is one of those. I'm not going to even attempt to say the name of this brand, thank you very much, because I can't pronounce it. Whatever, don't be mad at me. I will link the products below, but that is the matte version. On the dimensional nails, or the stone quote-unquote nails, I am going to apply a thin layer of protein bond on the surface. It's going to fill in all of those scratches that the file left behind, and it'll create a more clear design. On those 2 nails, I'm top coating with that same top coat that I mentioned before, that same brand that I mentioned, the one with the matte. But for these 2 nails, I'm using their shiny top coat, and I'm top coating the very tip of that because it is translucent and I want it to be as clear as possible. And that is the final look. I love to play with matte and shiny top coats, especially on a nail like this. I feel like that matte top coat on that index and that pinky really brought out, it really allowed for those 2 middle nails to really shine and pop, and I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching until the end, and I hope this means that you have subscribed. Thanks.